Hey guys, it's Nailbiter, and I've got another Battlefield 3 video here for you guys. And in this video, I've got some more gameplay of another one of the close quarters weapons, the Spas-12, which I know I posted a video about me unlocking it a couple days ago, and you saw a little bit of gameplay with it at the end of that video. And so I wanted to talk about it some more in this video, and there's actually another thing that I want to talk about in this video, which you can probably tell from the title, that I'll talk a little bit about later. And so just to go back to the Spas-12, the first couple clips of this gameplay are just the Spas-12 equipped with extended mags and flechette rounds. And I just had a couple clips that I wanted to put in there that I thought were kind of nice. And this is kind of my go-to setup just for shotguns. Or was, I guess, my go-to setup, I should say, for shotguns before the patch. I felt like flechette rounds were the best to use because they gave you the most flexibility when you were using a shotgun, because you could engage targets at a considerable, I mean, I'd say pretty considerable distance, while still, you were still able to do pretty well at close ranges. So I was using Spas with flechette rounds for a couple rounds, and I just got a couple nice clips using this setup. And just about the Spas-12 in general, it is a pump-action shotgun, so it's the only other one besides the 870 that is a pump-action shotgun. So it does pretty good damage at pretty good range. I mean, I think you can one-shot enemies with an M1014 if you're at really close ranges and you hit them exactly right. And maybe you can do it with a Sega. I don't think you can really do it with a USAS or the MK3A1, I think is what it's called. So it does pretty good damage, and it's really good for some of these smaller maps, for taking groups of enemies out pretty quickly, if you can get some good targets, and especially if you can flank around a little bit and get in on the side of the enemy or just in behind them. It can be a very effective weapon for like clearing out rooms. So I like to use it on Grand Bazaar, and that was the map that you guys saw those first couple of clips were on. And I think it'll be fun to use on the 4 new maps that I haven't had a chance to play yet, and I don't think PC players will be able to play it until next week, as I think I mentioned in another video. I do think PS3 players have already been playing those maps, so you guys are lucky if any PS3 players are watching this video. But anyways, you saw there's a switch in the gameplay here, which I'll talk more about in a second. But just to go back to the Spas-12. I think one thing I did notice about it, and I'm not sure if this was just me or if this is actually true, but it seemed like it had a slightly faster fire rate than the 870 did. I'm not actually sure if that's true or not, or if it was just me imagining something, but I thought it was a pretty good weapon. Even with buckshot on, I think it felt like its range was a little better than the range of the 870. So from my first impressions with this weapon, I think it's pretty good. It's probably my favorite shotgun, I would say, just from the little bit that I've used it. I mean, I haven't using that much of shotguns recently, so I'd have to go back through a little bit and just get a sense of some of the other ones before I could really say that. But this weapon is definitely a lot of fun to use, and I mean, as I've talked about before, I'm definitely a bit of a shotgun person. I enjoy being able to run around and play aggressively with these weapons. So the Spas-12 was a lot of fun to use, and I definitely recommend trying it out. So now, as I pointed out earlier, I'm actually using a different setup now. Now I've got the Spas-12 equipped with the red dot sight and with Slugs, and this was something that I just kind of wanted to try out to see how it worked, just because I thought that the 870 with Slugs had been a pretty effective setup, so I wanted to see how it worked how they worked on the Spas-12. And I was really surprised, actually. The Slugs seemed like, and I think this is actually just a thing in general, but I think Slugs in general were fixed, but the Slugs seem to work really well on the Spas-12, and I mean, before, my guess is this is just something that DICE has fixed in general, so I think, or my guess is that Slugs will just be more effective on all the weapons now, because I remember before this recent patch, there had been, or I'd used Slugs a little bit, and I'd made a couple of videos about using Slugs on shotguns, and I was kind of negative about it, that they didn't really seem worthwhile to use, and I mean, you never saw anybody really using Slugs in-game very consistently, and because they didn't really have any range, and it often seemed like your bullets would just kind of disappear and barely damage enemies that were really pretty close to you. So I was kind of I wasn't sure how this was going to go, and I decided to try it out for a couple rounds, and I was actually really surprised. This is a really effective setup, and you know, I can one-shot enemies at a pretty good range with this setup, and you know, I can two-shot enemies at really kind of. It was surprising to me. I think the slugs now are much more like they were back in Bad Company 2, where they had a really pretty significant range to them, and so and as you can kind of tell from the course of this gameplay. It completely changes the way you can play a shotgun, and I mean I don't there are probably a few moments that I don't have recorded in here, but I was playing earlier today with this setup, and you know I could take enemies on with like assault rifles. Really, you know, this is at you know you know what I would consider to be medium ranges for an assault rifle. I could two-shot enemies with this setup, so that just gives you an idea of how effective I thought this was. And I mean, if you have pretty good aim, and I mean, that's why I'm using the red dot sight, just to help my aim a little bit at those sort of medium range shots. You actually could probably use a larger or a more enhanced zoom scope and probably have a pretty good amount of success with this setup. You know, I just like to use the red dot sight because it's not as clunky on your screen, and it's easier to still do well at really close ranges, because I mean, you are going to go into situations where you're gonna just kind of run randomly into somebody, and you're gonna need to be able to take them out quickly with your weapon. So I mean, and as you can see, if you get a solid body shot on an enemy with this setup, it's gonna one-shot them at really close ranges. So I was having a lot of fun with this setup, and I mean, here this is never something I would have been able to do before, but I just jumped out and I was able to take that guy out, and even though he knew I was coming, he was waiting for me, and I was able to just jump out and get one shot on him and take him out. So I was having a lot of fun with this setup, and my guess is that I haven't actually tried this out, but I think that, or my guess is that slugs are now just better in general, and that you know they work better on all the weapons. So that's definitely something to test out, and I would definitely try it out. I was having a lot of fun running this setup, as as I think you could probably tell, and you know, I might even do more gameplay with this setup sometime in the future. So expect to see some gameplay on some of the new maps probably with this setup. So anyways, the video is just about finished. Spas-12 is a great weapon. I definitely recommend trying it out. And so thanks for watching this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys later.